Well, you know what? You wonder why March is my favorite time of month or of year. It's just kind of a buzz around here. It's been so much fun to watch this team grow in the last month, and yet there's always been obstacles. We're growing and really making progress. Then we go to Iowa and we go through that. But experiences on winning and losing is why I've always been so big on failure is a big part of success. And I think kids are going to miss out on that. But failing at Iowa, if you were in our huddle in the last minute and 20 seconds, listening to the players talking about, don't give up a three to get down on a two and make sure we cut out at the free throw line and all the little things. I said it after. It was a player-coach team. And the only way that happens is when you go through some adversity. This past weekend, it was great. I mean, I thought we played really well defensively. Unfortunately, we didn't shoot the ball very well, something we had been doing. So what this team is becoming is a little bit like some of the other teams I've had early in my career, where one day we can beat you offensively like Florida, and one day we can beat you defensively like we did against Wisconsin, and I think that would be good. And if ever they came together, then you'd really have a chance to do something special. And a team like Marquette, that was one of the best defensive teams we played against. It was a very physical game. I thought, looking at the film, our guys hung in there. We had a couple bad stretches, but that was due to a team we played was a damn good team. As I said, I think we've grown a lot, and started growing again. And then we have the Ohio State game where we didn't play as well, and I think through that game, I think our guards learned a lot. So it's been good. As far as Kansas State, Jerome has done an unbelievable job there. You look at where they were and where they are, and I think he's had a lot of experience. Like myself, he had 19 years down with Scott Drew at Baylor, where they built the program and then they won a national championship, and so he had a lot of responsibility on that staff. As Judd let me do a lot of things at the end to prepare me, he had an extra 6 years of that at Baylor. They've got two great players in Johnson and the other kid, Noel is a third-team All-American. He's not real big, but boy, he's potent. I mean, he is a guy that can shoot it. He can distribute it. He's had 14, 15 assists. He's averaging 8, 9 assists a game. He can shoot it from downtown. So he's kind of a combination of some of the players we've played against. He passes it like the kid from Marquette, but he shoots it like the Ellis kid from USC. A lot of ball screens again, a lot of things that we're going to have to cover. We had a good practice yesterday, but it was more of a walk-through film session, teaching point. Today we plan on getting after it pretty good, and then we leave today. It's the quick turnaround. So I'm as excited as you can be about the opportunity. Not only do you play in a Sweet 16, but it's in New York City, which for me isn't as big as I think it is for players in that, but it is in Madison Square Garden, which is the mecca of all basketball, and for that, I think our players, we've played there once. They have a little experience being there, and yet we're going to be excited to be in there playing against a great team with a chance to play in an Elite Eight on the line, and it doesn't get any better than that. So questions, I'll take them.
Tom, in your career, can you put into words how disruptive the transfer portal has been, and on the upside, good side of it, what has it meant for your team this right now with Hauser and Walker, and also for Kansas State with a bunch of guys that help them?
Yeah, I'll answer it, but the last thing I want to talk about is that, because it's such a controversial subject that I always seem to get in the middle of. I'll say it now, I'll say it till the day I die. I do not see anything good for the players in it. You can say, well, this has been happening. Sample size, when you do things. My grandfather lived to 91. He smoked cigarettes till he was 84. He was a lucky one. 7 out of 10 don't make it till they're 60. So there's the goods and bads to everything. In Joey's case, that's a whole different story. He sat out a year. In Tyson's case, he was the one guy we took, and it worked out after a year. An average first year, and it worked out to be a great second year. And trust me when I say every place isn't for everybody, and kids should have the freedom to transfer. When you give it to them with no responsibilities and no accountability and just do what you want when you want, I just don't think it benefits them. So it's helped Kansas State in this case, what they've done. But we'll see. I guess time will tell on that over a period of time. All I'm worried about is, for the most part, when you got a team like ours that has been very homegrown, and then you add a kid like Tyson, one kid, he molds into that. And I think he's done an incredible job of fitting in. And maybe that happens again, and maybe it doesn't. But I'm just happy that we have who we have. I'm happy that our experience and our culture is still intact, and I think that's what's important.
Chris, you mentioned about playing earlier at the Garden. How much does that help shooters with the sight lines, with knowing what a building is like, and really the team in general, just knowing the routine of going around a place when you're there?
Well, we got our butt kicked, so and that's the case. We might not even leave the arena. We didn't shoot it very well. We didn't score many points. I think familiarity helps, but you look at NBA arenas, and 99% of the time, those NBA teams don't even practice in their arena once. They just practice in their practice facility and go play in their arena. As I learned in Hoosiers, the court is 94 by 50. The basket's 10 feet high. The free throw line's 15 feet away. Whether you're in New York and somebody's selling you a fake Rolex, or whether you're in Iron Mountain and you're trying to figure out which farm you want to go to or which mine you want to go to, it's no different. And so I don't know. I'm glad we were there once, because not because of the sight lines and all that. There's just an aura of walking through those halls and seeing those pictures of all those actors and performers and boxers. I just love looking at that group and the great players. And I think it's more about the aura of it than it is the actual sight lines. I don't think anybody's going in there saying, ooh, it looks a little better here than there. And I don't know. You have to ask the players that. But my count on that, I know from the bench, doesn't look any different to me.
You referenced this talking about the players in the huddle late and learning from the Iowa game. But in terms of teams that have kind of become, I don't want to say this the best way to put it, but they've become what they are because of what they've gone through. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like one of those things do you feel like they could be in the spot if they hadn't gone through all these things? How important is that? Have you seen this team's been able to do that better than maybe so many other teams in the past, that you've been able to go through all that and it make you better and not have to beat you down, I guess?
Well, that lends into the first question Larry asked. If you don't go through stuff, I was on a show today on ESPN with Jay Williams, and he said, I wouldn't be where I am today or what I wasn't for those first 2 years at Duke, when I was, getting told what to do morning, noon, and night. And I think that's what it's all about. If you don't go through some adversity, if you don't go through some problems, first of all, you don't enjoy the good times as much. But second of all, you're not prepared. Within a game, we were up 18-5 or something. Then we were down 5. Those things are going to happen as they happen in life. If you've never been prepared for that, how do you handle it? So that's why I think, in life, the journey you go through, you better learn from the positives and the negatives of the journey and figure out how to deal with them and how to excel. And I think this team has done a damn good job of that. We go to the aircraft carrier without Jaden, and we kind of, I guess he came in at the end, but Malik gets hurt right after that. And then we go a period of time without both of them, and we take some lumps and against Alabama, kind of learn that our defense is important. And then, we had those crushing losses to Purdue at home. I had that big loss to Northwestern at home. Then we started going on a little bit of a run, and then you get the Iowa game. And all those things teach you that there's going to be ups and downs. We had the tragedy here. These kids have gone through a lot, and I think they've rebounded pretty well because they all been through some things together, some of them in the last 4 years, 3 years, or 2 years. And that is beneficial, I promise you. I know it's helped me. Jay Will said it helped him. I'm sure it helped each and every one of you guys. I hope the generations that are coming up figure out that it's okay to fail. It's okay to lose. It's okay to go through some tough times. Quoting all the people that I keep quoting, Bo Schembecker, those who stay will be champions. You got to do those things to be successful, and you got to do those things to be able to enjoy things. I mean, if you never failed, would be the difference in failure and success, So I feel so strong on that and so committed to that we'll see what happens. But this team has been through a lot, not anything, except the tragedy, not anything different than other teams. But they've kept getting up off the ground and dusting himself off and figuring, got to become a better free throw shooting team than I was last year. Can't turn the ball over like we did last year. Can't suck in on dribble penetration and give kick out threes like we did at Iowa. And when I say they learn, I think what I love about this team the most is we learned how to take blame, take responsibility, take ownership. We all owned that Iowa game. I was mad that some guys dug down when I said something. I must not have said it well enough. So I took blame, and deservingly so. And I think when you can take blame, you can grow. And I think that's what this team has done.
Tom, I'm wondering, with your win the weekend process and how, as you've refined it over the years, how much does the equation change from the regular season in terms of being able to look back and review like the USC game or the good moments from Marquette versus just being straightforward and it's always got to be on the next thing? Because during the regular season you have a couple games you can do look back and look forward. Just how much looking back, I guess, on things that you liked as part of this process versus
Yeah, I'd say that's the one bad thing about the tournament, especially this quicker turnaround, since we played Sunday night and now we play Thursday and we're leaving today. There's not a lot of time, we didn't even look at the film from a good win against Marquette. We couldn't go through the positives and negatives because we had, Sunday night when we got back, it was late. We had Monday morning, it was on to Kansas State. Monday afternoon, it was practice then. We were going to we had a short meeting Monday night, but guys are worn out a little bit. So today, no meeting, practice. We'll meet in the hotel tonight, and then we'll go from there. But that's the only thing bad about it is you don't get, it's a strange deal the way they do that if you play on Friday. I guess if I look back, since we got beat early in the Big Ten tournament, it'd been better to play Thursday, Saturday, and then you had the Friday, Sunday. But it's no different at this time of year. There's only so much you can work on, and it's going to come down to how hard you play. I mean, I had the privilege of talking to two of the 3 or 4 greatest point guards I ever played here. I talked to Mateen last night. I talked to Magic right before I came here, and they all said the same thing. You got to go out and play. You got to be able to play defense. You got to be able to play with some energy and passion. None of those things are coaching points. They're things that you don't have a skill for. You have a choice to make. And that's kind of what this time of year is for. We'll give you the things we can give you. He who plays the hardest usually plays the best.
how do you try to build on those good things then without maybe the full film breakdown?
Yeah, you try to build on the good things that we talk about. Our defense has been much better, and then we say, why haven't we been shooting it quite as good from the free throw line? Why? So we put a little more time into that. We asked them to put a little extra time 3-point shooting, you know. I mean, Tyson was shooting the lights out. He's had 2 average games. I mean, he hasn't taken that many, so the sample size is small. So I don't really, when you win games, during the season, you really harp on the negatives of even if you won because you know it's a long season. Now it's just move on. You've already been through your ups and downs, and just try to tell them that, you know, Tyson, I'm not worried about your shot. You know, you've been as good a shooter as we've had here in years. Just go shoot it. Joey's in a whole different spot, man. I mean, he is so wired right now. It's just been fun to watch, you know. It's been fun to see a guy almost want to give it up and then do what he did this year. I mean, that'll help me in my coaching no matter how many more years I do it, because you get to see those kind of things happen. And you wouldn't see them if everybody just had success.
The banners in the gym and the statistics and how many years you've been to the Sweet 16, it all speaks for itself. With this group, was there a point that you thought we can make a run with this group, or is that just a level of expectation here?
That's almost a twofold question. It is a level of expectation here. Not fair to those players because each team is its own team, but it is a level of expectation, just like winning the weekend, you know. I remember when I first learned about that phrase, I said it to Doug Herner, my ancient kind of assistant up there, and he was one of those old school guys. Oh, you got to win the first game. You got to win the first game. Well, once we won the national championship, you think anybody cares if we win a game in the NCAA tournament? No. You think I care if we win a game in the NCAA tournament? Only if it gets me to the next game. Otherwise, I don't care either. So I'm no different than everybody else. But I did, as I've told most of you throughout the year, I went against my religion here a little bit and said that the glass was half full, even when it was almost bone dry empty a couple of those weeks when I just didn't feel we were playing very good. I felt there was something. I thought if I could get through to AJ, I thought if we could get healthy, I thought if we could, I thought we were a good shooting team. When we started to turn the ball over less and less and less, I thought, you know, there's some things here that would make us capable of making a run. And, you know, when that run ends, who knows? Because there's a lot of good teams, and there were some great teams that are already done. But I did feel this way most of the year, through highs and lows and everything else. And, I mean, we lost some games, Purdue here, Northwestern here, Michigan there, Illinois there, that I felt we played off Gonzaga awfully well and just didn't finish it. So I just said if we can tweak this and tweak that and get them to buy in, and now they've started to take ownership in their team. And that is, the process has been a little longer than I would have liked, but that's what happens when you got guys that have been through some wars over the years and some disappointments. And when people say, well, you were out, you know, the first weekend here, and you know, it's been such a zoo to figure out. You know, I still say in that 3 years ago, I think we were a Final Four team, and I think we were playing like one. 2 years ago, we played UCLA, and I mean, we're 13 up, and we lose it on a missed free throw cutout, and they go on to go to a Final Four. Who knows what we would have done, even though I didn't think we were a great team. That's what happens in a tournament. They got a break, somebody got beat, and they moved on. And then last year, you know, we ran into Duke. We were 5 up in the last 3-4 minutes and just didn't finish it, you know. Probably the better team won, but we've been knocking on the door. So I think our guys know that we're good enough. We just got to do some of those little things that we haven't been doing. And that's where this year has come in good. We've shot better from the free throw line. We've done a better job turning the ball over. Defense has been a little up and down. Offense has really been a lot better most of the year. So hopefully we put it all together. And if we can ever get our offense and defense together in this tournament, I think we'll play another game.
In the back, Fred.
Little guy back here. You've always been good about calling other coaches, even your competitors. I know you talked to Painter the other night after you lost. Do you feel at all, being the last champion from this conference, that you're carrying the banner for the Big Ten? And have you heard from your other comrades at all
wishing you luck and saying, hey, go win one for us.
Yeah, I have. I've heard from most of the coaches in the Big Ten, to be very honest with you, and because like for me, nothing means more than Michigan State for me. Second on the list would be the Big Ten Conference, because it's been good to me. I've been a part of it. I believe in it. I love the academic situation we have here. I love the fan bases we have in the Big Ten. There's so many things we have here that are special. The one thing that we don't have is we have not won a championship since ours too many years ago. And I myself have been in 3 Final Fours, or 3 for sure, with another Big Ten team. That means half the field was a Big Ten team, and we didn't get it done. And there's a million different reasons. I think like this year, one of the problems are when we beat the hell out of each other, I don't think it wore us down. I just think it put us in a position where everybody's a 7, 8, and 9 seed. Well, that's the toughest place to be in. You'd almost rather be a 12 seed and play a 6 and then play a 3. It's like 1 and 2 are really the toughest ones to get around usually. Not many people beat the 1 and 2 seeds most of the time, exception to the rule this year. So I think that's what's happened. I think we had 4 or 5 of us that were 7, 8, and 9, right? And so you got a tough second game usually, and but I don't think it's style of play and all the things people say. It all comes down to matchups. And do I feel pressure? I feel pressure every day. As they say, pressure is a privilege. I mean, if we weren't playing, I'd have no pressure on me. If the Big Ten had won a bunch of them, there'd be no pressure. There is good pressure. And I think, I know I got a lot of guys in our league that are competitors most of the time that are probably pulling for us for a variety of reasons. And that's all good, it really is good. And I feel bad that 6 other times we've been there and haven't been able to get it done. But you keep knocking on that door, man. Someday, Cinderella, that slipper fits someday, and we just got to keep knocking on it.
We got time for a couple more. We'll go, Wojo.
Tom, right here. Not to revisit the portal thing, separate from that, but what did you see in this team and your players that made you feel good about going with these guys and sticking with these guys?
Yeah, listen, there is going to be, when I say the portal is not all bad. I mean, you have to, like I said, every place isn't for everybody. What to me is bad about it is the fact that every kid who has a bad day just thinks about leaving. And at this level, if you're half in, you're nowhere. That's what I think is bad. So let's get that straightened out first. But what I believed in this team, Marty's had an up and down year, his first year, the injury, and then the COVID year, you don't get any better. I mean, everybody's been through some of that. We stuck with him because of the way he ended that game. We believed that would be more the way the year went. And it's not been perfect, but if you're around him and every day you got a warrior that's gonna go to war for you, and sometimes those guys pan out better, we could have gone in there and tried to, we didn't know what Joey was gonna do. We didn't know what Malik was gonna do, and was AJ gonna come around? But you just have a feel, and I've told them a bunch of times that my assistants tell him all the time, he believed in you, and that's why he didn't do that. But if I was a player, I'd be saying, I must have believed in him and the program, or I would have left. So it works both ways. And if it's through all the anxiety and through all the pain of, being coached hard or being pushed, and if both sides believe in each other, I mean, that's what Cleves and I had that was so special. And I've had it with other players, but it was just so special there because we were so opposites. You know, him from Flint, Michigan, me from the UP, me trying to sell myself, and him taking a chance. And once he realized that we wanted the same thing for each other, it was easy. It's harder to do that now because I get so many middlemen, or as I call them, dirtbags, that are, that are causing distractions for these kids, that it's hard to sell those things. But the ones that did it, the day that I was on that floor for the national championship, and he kind of looked at me, tears running down his face, we did it. The key word, we did it. And that will last till the day they put me down. And I mean that, and I look for that again. And that's my goal, is to get a group of guys that believe in you, and you got to believe in them. And I proved my worth of them. Because I could have gone out at Michigan State, you could go out and get, but as we're learning around the league here, those of you that want to jump that way, it doesn't always work either. So be careful what you wish for. But I could have. I believed in these guys. I didn't think about it until a couple of weeks ago. They could have. There's something they believed in here. That's the beauty of sticking together. And if it carries us through the weekend, it'll be one of the great life lessons learned. And I know as a coach, I'm already appreciative, but it would even hold a bigger, it would just be more special, that's for sure.
Go one more, Sean.
I guess that's a good word there, special. Obviously, you have shown your emotion on and off for your career. You welled up after both games on the court, and then told us in the tunnel later that the win over Marquette in particular was right up there among the more meaningful wins you've had in your time here. I'm curious. I have some idea of why, but I'm curious why from your perspective.
Yeah, a million reasons. You know, I do not forget what happened here, the tragedy, and I think of those people, and I think of one that is in a hospital in Chicago now, that the hugest fan and basketball fan, and they can't be there. I think of the situation, this new era where we could just trade cards, trade players. You don't even need anything, and how I don't agree with that. That doesn't mean it's right or wrong, but we accomplished something doing it the way I still believe. That was part of it, and I was pleased. Part of wearing your emotion on your sleeve is I give you guys way too much. I think of John Thompson, and I think of Mex. He worked there, and how John was, and I say that with reverence. I love John Thompson, but I'm an open book on most stuff. So when I'm mad at AJ, I tell you. I even tell you the reasons. I don't do that I don't need anybody's support anymore. I don't mean that the way it sounded. It's not egotistical. I just, it's how I feel. And so my emotions are always how I feel. And when I see a guy go from that Ohio State game, which, I didn't agree with some things. You have a meeting, you talk, and then you see a guy play the way he did in those two games, and you just say, job is worth it. Job is worth it. Because in the end of the day, the job is to win games for my bosses and all the people and the alumni and the fans. But as a parent and as a human being, my job is to try to make other people's lives better than they would have had. And I can look every guy in the eye and say, I'm a lot of things, probably more bad than good, but never, ever, ever have I told a kid something that wasn't in his best interest. I told kids that they should leave. just recently. I told them why. Told them they could stay, but I wanted to do what's best for them. And I swear to you that, it's been funny with AJ because I think he doesn't see it that way all the time. And I think after the Ohio State game, a light bulb went on and he started to see it. And that doesn't make me any great coach. It just means that I'm going to be persistent in what I believe in. And someday that's probably going to run me out of here. But until then, that day on the court, seeing what was accomplished for a team that had been through a lot, you're damn right. It was worthy of tears, worthy of joy, worthy of celebrating, worthy of feeling good for them and for yourself. And that's why I coach. And so I'm going to see if I can feel good again today after practice. Because with 17 to 19 to 20-year-olds, it kind of goes like this a little bit, guys and gals. And yet I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna push just as hard today because it ramps up now. We start practice. We're playing the New York. Here we come, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to try to get them someplace that maybe a lot of them question whether they could get to. That's what leadership and coaching is all about. And at the other side of it, they're taking me there too. It's not a one way. I'm not the dictator. I don't go nowhere without them. I mean, let's get something straight here. It's not quite as bad as pro ball, where players definitely, but if a player doesn't want to play for you, and he's a key player, you're not winning. So that's the beauty of it, and I think those were my emotions, that the world makes you right now question everything you do. I'm sure you guys do the same thing. I mean, we're in a strange time right now as a society, and it's always going to change. But there's still got to be accountability, and there's still got to be some rules, and there's still got to be goals, and there's still a way to accomplish incredible things. Shortcuts is not one of them. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys out there. Behave yourselves. Listen, if you need something from a Youper, if a guy opens his jacket and there's a bunch of gold in there, don't buy it. It's probably phony. I learned that. It took me a long time to learn that, but I learned it. I probably bought a few toothbrushes and razors back in the day when I was young and went to New York. But now I'm a veteran. I tell my players what to do. They probably won't listen as long as they listen on the court. Hey, they got NLI money. Go waste it on that fake Rolex as far as I'm concerned, all right? Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.